harder. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. I'm the best ever.
Sitdown Radio. My guest this week is Jimmy Benz, Elite Management for Elite MMA Fighters. How are you, Jim?
Doing well, Mike. Thank you for having me.
You're an entrepreneur, promoter, manager, and one of the co-owners of Matrix Fights. What's coming up for you?
We have some guys that are in the mix and signed with Bellator, and obviously you see Bellator's company growing, so the guys that we have signed are going to benefit from that. And we also have our Matrix Fights 8 coming back September 20th at the Sheet Metal Hall. It's going to be a packed house. Looks like we might have the likes of Sammy O on there, maybe Will Martinez, and just basically we wanted to be like a Philly affair, you know, and what Philly fans are used to, and just bring a good show.
Sam Orpiz is always very exciting. In fact, at the last Matrix, he fought, I can't pronounce his name,
Oglasang.
Oglasang, okay. There was a buzz in the building from the time the card started, and then when Sam finally came out, Sam's always got a giant crowd that he brings along with him. And that was an excellent fight. Sam was able to win. When are we going to see Sam in Bellator? Are you negotiating that again?
Yeah. Sam is under a long-term Bellator deal he signed, but I have a good relationship with that promotion, and I do have the ability to have them fight on other promotions, which is a pretty cool thing about Bellator, being that the size of the company is and where they are on the MMA scale, being under the UFC, that they do give their fighters the opportunity to fight outside of their promotion, and that can benefit a lot of hometown guys like Sam Orpiz, who have the ability to sell the amount of tickets that he does. And it also helps Bellator when they come to the area, because it gives them a bigger stage to fight on, you know, and sell those tickets.
So do you have any fights official for Bellator yet?
For Bellator, not exactly official, but we have some stuff that's in the works, maybe in sometime in November. But they'll be back to Atlantic City within the year, and I think within the next year and a half, you'll see Sam Orpiz in a tournament.
All right, so you're a South Philly kid, right? Born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised in there.
So what was life like growing up in South Philly? Did you have one particular place you grew up, one area, or?
Well, a lot of the time I was from around like 10th and Carpenter. I went to school, St. Paul's on 9th and Christian, so Italian market area around there.
That's like Mafia Central, right?
Yeah, it used to be, years ago.
So that would put you, if my crime knowledge is right, that would put you right along the Merlino era?
Nah, not so much.
Before or after?
That's after. That's
you were in Scarfo era, weren't you?
Nah.
You'd be lucky to.
I was a good guy. I was going to church, St. Paul's.
All right. So, did you meet the Miglerese brothers?
Yeah. What happened was I met Ricky about 3rd grade, and we used to down in South Philly. Like, you hang on corners, or you go to basketball courts, and I was really into basketball. So we met when playing basketball together. And we just remained very cordial, very, very cool with each other. And he would hang on, I think he hung around like 6th and Wharton when he was younger. And they were always troublemakers, just to set the record straight. And but not, like, our neighborhoods were close, and a lot of people were related, like, to where we hung. And Ricky and I always had a very good friendship growing up. And, you know, he obviously went on to do what he does with jiu-jitsu, and I went and got schooled by what I grew up around. And, you know, here we are with something special in Matrix Fights, you know.
Could the Miglerese brothers ball? Were they any good?
Ricky's a beast, yeah. He's a lefty, so no one likes to guard a lefty, you know. Phil's good doing yoga, you know what I mean. But Ricky could ball. Ricky's a big body, and actually about a couple months ago, Ricky and I had our kids over at a park. And these two young kids said, "You want to play 2-on-2?" So me and Ricky looked at each other and said, "All right, you know." And we won, you know. We won, that's for sure. So some things never change, you know.
Your father is the Babe Ruth of attorneys. James J. Binns, 46 years of experience in high-profile cases. He's the former PA Athletic Commissioner, and he's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. He played himself in Rocky V, which pissed me off because I auditioned for that part and I didn't get it. I guess your dad is a better James Binns than I am, but what's it like with such a high-profile father growing up?
It wasn't anything different because to me, he was my dad. He was just always there for me as a father, from a standpoint of being supportive to going to every single basketball game I ever had, and you know, it just so happened that he was in the business and he created everything that he did. So a lot of the people that I was around, it really wasn't like I was ever really starstruck. It was just a matter of how I grew up. And, you know, obviously doing what I'm doing now, I was very fortunate to have grown up around guys like I was around, because inadvertently it was education that is now helping me progress in my business now. So the original question, how was it growing up with a famous father? I'm very lucky.
So if you want to talk about having big wins on your fight record, if we look at your dad's legal record, I mean, he's not a fighter, but he has 31 consecutive legal victories for the World Boxing Association. He's got decisions over Muhammad Ali, Tim Witherspoon, Evander Holyfield, Marvin Hagler, Top Rank, Don King, Mike Tyson, and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Your dad beat Puerto Rico. That's insane.
He's amazing. He's licensed in 36 states. He speaks 3 languages. He's 73 years old and he's in the police academy. My dad spent his life on defying odds and always proving himself. And he's a truly an inspiration. And I'm proud to carry his name. And I just want to keep moving forward in what I'm creating. And he's always my shadow. You know what I mean? Anyone that says, you know, they don't want to, they don't talk to their dad, or they want to do it on their own, you know, that's to me that's ignorance. You know, I share everything with my dad, and sometimes he doesn't always agree with the way I go about things, but you know, it's sometimes he always gives me wisdom and advice, and you know, someone that's done what he's done, been in his shoes, I mean, been in the situations that he's been in, he negotiated the biggest purse bid in boxing history up to that point, where Evander Holyfield and Buster Douglas, after Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. So needless to say, you can see his resume. He's 1 in a million type of person, and the way I like to look at myself is I'm 1 in a million person, and I'm excited because my journey is just getting started.
Who were some of the celebrities that you met? I know you said you met Muhammad Ali growing up. Who were some of the people you met?
I was very close with Mike Tyson, from Muhammad Ali, Don King, Roberto Mendoza, who is president of the WBA, who I'm still very close with, Jose Suleiman, president of the WBC, Larry Hazard, who was one of the most important individuals in mixed martial arts. He helped with Nick Lembo write the rules in New Jersey and for unified mixed martial arts. And guys like Butch Lewis. Now, if you don't know who Butch Lewis is, he is probably one of the biggest promoters ever in the history of boxing. He promoted Michael Spinks, but he also did James Brown's comeback tour. He was partners with Bob Johnson, and that's like some of the guys. I mean, Michael Spinks, Evander Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor, Lou Duva, who else? Carl King, Al Banani, Johnny Boz, who just passed away. He's a legend. Lou DiBella, Cedric Kushner.
You got to meet all these people?
All these people I worked with, they were like family. Boxing, in the days where my dad represented the WBA, was like a family. And people that weren't involved in it would really never really understand, because they didn't understand how the business worked. So MMA is creating that. And the difference with boxing is people call bullshit on people, where if you were what you were. So if you did people wrong and you were slimy and this and that, people called you out on it. The problem is with MMA is that it's brand new. So you have all these guys selling dreams that never come true, and you have someone like me who's just saying something that's very uniform, but it's the truth. You know, sometimes I gotta wait a little bit because these guys are gonna try and go with the people that are selling dreams to them. But you know, that comes with the business.
So Orville Redenbacher, the popcorn guy, has a son who now took over the whole popcorn empire. That's what he does. He's not gonna model. He's ugly as fuck. I don't know if you've ever seen him. Basically, growing up how you grew up, you were either gonna be an incredible lawyer or you were gonna be a promoter, maybe a fight manager. Did you feel the pressure from the beginning, or did you take the ball and run with it?
When I was younger, I felt, you know, you look to your dad. Your dad's a hero to you always as a kid, especially when you're fortunate enough to have a father that genuinely loves you and is there for you every day. You know, and you have to get to a point. So yes, I mean, at certain points of my life, yeah, I felt pressure, but it was just growing pains, you know, and it's all it is just finding your way in life, you know, and you find your path and you get your rhythm and then you run with it, you know. I was going to be a promoter because I'm a people person. I like to talk to people. I give people respect until they don't give me the respect. You know what I mean? And I like to treat people. I'm a very happy person. I mean, the majority of people that you could talk to know that I always have a smile on my face. I'm always very positive. And I think that's why for a little bit when I got finished with high school, I tried college a little bit, but it really just wasn't my twist. So I jumped into the bar business, and we had Transit, 8th Street Lounge, Gasoline, Glow Bar, and then I bounced out of the city, went up to Manhattan, opened up a place called Fashion 40, which is still in business, and then I opened up a place called Soho 323, which was on West Broadway between Grand and Canal, across the street from the Soho Grand. We got ranked #1 lounge in the world by Vogue. We did it big as kids, you know. We were, but again, that was like the promotion business. It's all concepts. It's all, how am I going to get people to come to my event? How am I going to get people to come to my place? And if you kind of just switch it around, it's the same thing. When I do a Matrix, like, what is going to make someone really going to want to come to Matrix? And that's why Phil and Rick sometimes call me Rain Man, because I take such little things with a promotion so serious, because I know it's an event. I know I want people to enjoy their time. You know what I mean? Being there.
We're going to come back in one moment and talk to Jimmy Benz about why he got into fight management. We'll be right back. Redenbacher's son is ugly as fuck. Have you ever seen him?
Nah.
He's fucking ugly. All right, Jimmy Benz. Back with Jimmy Benz, Benz Management. So, what made you want to get into fight management? Did you see some shady shit going on, or?
Yeah, I saw a need for it. You know, I saw a lot of guys running around, not exactly knowing what they're gonna do. Didn't know how to take guys' careers to the next level, and you know, I saw a lot of people just stealing money, basically.
So what are some of the scumbag moves you've seen on the local circuit?
Well, it's just like you have a guy who's the matchmaker, the promoter, and the manager, and he's in their pocket for all 1, 2, or 3 things, and it's just that some of the things are like, if you're going to be a manager, then you have to be able to offer a fighter some type of outlet to, in my opinion, to make more money, to get on a larger scale, to have those connections, because the local circuit, if you're a decent fighter, you're gonna know the local promoter. So what's that manager really gonna do for you? You know what I mean? But it also, sometimes a guy's good, but that doesn't mean he has to fight monsters every time out.
Right.
If you look at the guys that I've represented, they fought tough guys for the right amount of money. And that's what it's about. It's a business, okay? It's not a tough man. It's not a proving ground and who's the toughest in the area, and that's amateur to me. I mean, if you give your guys tough fights in the amateurs, because when they turn pro, they're 0-0. It doesn't matter if they lost 10 fights as an amateur. Amateur has absolutely nothing to do with their pro career at all.
My boy Scratch from the Roots, we were talking about musical representation one time. He told me the only purpose of a manager is someone that can get you farther than you can get yourself. So that kind of summarizes what you just said. Do some managers push their guys into fights that aren't winnable just so they can get a payday?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest problems. And I think a lot of these guys, and see, another problem is with the sport being so brand new, is that, like I said in boxing, they call bullshit on people because there was a history, okay? There's a history of people doing proven results. But now, you got cats that watch Jerry Maguire and then wake up the next day and say, you know what? I'm a fucking agent. You know? I can do this. I can do that. They're the same dickheads that fuck up a guy's career because he is tough, but they put him in against 3 straight warriors that he was in life and death wars with. Okay? Right. Look at some of the best MMA fighters. Look at some of the best boxers. You fight guys as you progress. You fight tougher guys for bigger money. And if you don't do that, then you're, not to say you can't win, but you take smart, I mean, that's what a manager does for you. A manager's going to be able to navigate you to big money. And that's the whole point of the game. And like I said, if you look at the guys that I represented, every fight that they had tough fights, they got paid for it. And that's what I do as a manager.
You're also a co-owner of Matrix Fights, and Matrix put on some sensational cards and is always a first-class event and venue. It's a beautiful venue. How did Matrix Fights become a reality?
Well, Matrix Fights. What happened was, I'm gonna give you the whole background. Mm-hmm. So, there's a guy by the name, and people are gonna remember this guy, of Ed Sue, and he used to put on a thing called Combat in the Cage. This is going back a couple of years. Well, Ed Sue came to me looking for help and partnership and so on and so forth. So, needless to say, he's out of the business because of being shady and all those other reasons. But what it did do was, I met Sam Kaplan there at Combat in the Cage, and I met Will Martinez, and I met Jesus, and I just sat back and I watched, and I seen I saw what was going on in MMA, and I saw how it was making the big shift from boxing to MMA. And prior to that, I had been working while I was in New York with Cedric Kushner, putting on shows at the Roseland Ballroom on David Tuitt cards. They were on ESPN and so forth, and so that's where I worked a little bit. And I also worked in a promotion called Banner Promotions, which was for a guy named Artie Palullo, who's a respected boxing promoter. And there were two of my jobs and that I got some education with. So after I made some connections and I met Sam Kaplan, I had a couple conversations with him. I said, Sam, when I do my first promotion in Philly, you're my matchmaker. And he's like, all right. He's like, Jim, I've heard this before from people, and it hasn't come true. I said, you got my word. You'll be my matchmaker. So sure. So what I did do was I knew Phil and Rick from when I was a kid. And I said to Ricky, I saw Ricky actually when I was with Ed Sue, and I was outside of the restaurant smoking a cigarette. And Ricky had some nice choice words for me, like, put the cigarette down, you fucking loser, or something along those lines, like, So I turned around like I was going to do something. Not like do something, but how you turn around with an attitude. And Ricky, how he is with his his jokes and everything. So what's up? We got a big smile out of each other. And so after that, I gave him a call about a week or two later, and I said, hey man, I got screwed over by Ed Sue, naturally. And I called Ricky and I said, hey man, listen, I know this is just getting legalized, and I'd really like to, why don't we do it together? So he said, well, he said, I'll set up a meeting with my dad and my brother, and we'll all sit down, you bring your dad. So we all met. I pitched them my ideas, and so we formed a company, and in that time, Phil started playing mind games with me, telling me smoking's a weakness and stuff like that. If you're too scared to come to the gym, and started playing mind games with me. So when I first started the company with them, I was 320 pounds, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes, and from that, I obviously quit smoking. So I got in the gym, and from a year when we formed it, we took a year until we picked our first date, and we formed the company. Sam Kaplan was my matchmaker for the first 2 shows, but then obviously Bellator hired him and became exclusive with them. And, that's how the Matrix story goes.
Okay. It's a beautiful venue. It's right on the waterfront. Sheet Metal Workers Hall. It's family friendly. Sometimes I see like people with young children there hanging out. Tons of security. You don't got to worry about going down there and getting a fight. The ring girls are always fucking smoking. I don't know where you. What do you have, a strip club hookup? Okay, Delilah's. I knew you had some hookup. I knew you weren't pulling them off the air.
They're our sponsors.
Okay. So celebrities also make appearances. You always hear like a Philly or an Eagle may show up at an event. I even seen Chubby Checker doing a twist in your cage. Like 2 events ago. So it's a first class show. Is that where you come into play?
Yeah, I mean, we, like I said, sometimes they make fun of me and call me Rain Man. It's an event, it's show business, and then we've had guys from the DA of Philly being there to, we have all walks of life, guys from the street, guys legit, that's what boxing was years ago, though. Boxing was a mix of every different ethnic background, you went to a show of Russell Peltz at the Blue Horizon, you would get lawyers, doctors, all different walks of life, and that's what really makes an authentic Philly event, and that's what I try and do. I try and pass the bar. You know what I mean? And really, whose
idea was it? The black tuxes with the orange ties. That's sharp.
That was my idea.
Okay. Yeah. So you're affiliated with Bellator. What exactly do you do for Bellator?
Well, Bellator, I manage fighters in their system. In 2011, I was their director of operations, and I did 6 shows, which was awesome. It was when they were doing the merge with Viacom, so I got to work with the guys like Scott Fishman and guys that created The Ultimate Fighter, and it was definitely an experience that I enjoyed, and I loved to work. It was a first class organization.
So having an inside look at Bellator, what fighters do you think in Bellator right now could jump right over to the UFC and possibly win a belt?
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of fighters, and I think as they progress, I think they're gonna have a lot more. I don't want to say it's made it, but I don't see it going anywhere, and I see it getting stronger. Now, truthfully, it's the first time that I know that an actual TV network owns controlling stake in a promotion company.
Viacom also owns MTV, MTV2, and
Viacom's huge. The interesting thing about it is that they own a piece of the promotion. Usually, it would be like you take your boxing promotions or even UFC. They are in business with the network. So it's kind of like, I don't understand how. So I guess they have complete control over, when the promotion. I don't know the negotiating at that point then for Bellator, which I don't think is a bad thing. Obviously, with a company like Viacom, their money's longer than Broad Street. You know what I mean? So, you have a backing of an absolute giant, and
it's probably a tighter ship too, because the UFC had a problem with Spike and some other networks in terms of working out deals. HBO as well, because they wanted to use their own camera guys. HBO wanted to bring in their camera guys. So it's probably a much tighter ship when everybody's on the same page.
I totally agree. I think that they've gotten some bad press, sort of, and I think people have started to run with it, not knowing the business and the real end of it. I mean, look, people saying that once you go there and there's no way you can go somewhere else and this and that. Like, look, man, if they're giving money out to someone, you better bet your ass that they're gonna protect themselves, and they have every right to protect themselves. And whoever's negotiating for these fighters needs to have things crystal clear so they don't run into these problems. You know what I mean? It's not always. You can't get mad at someone when someone signs something and says okay and takes the money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that people don't have cases. I'm not saying that people that people don't have their own rights or their own reasons to feel a certain way. And everyone has a right to feel like one way or another against something. They can always have their own opinion. But to sit there and say Bellator is garbage and this and that, that's bullshit. The biggest thing that happened to MMA was Bellator, okay? That, if it keeps progressing, and listen, anything's possible. The UFC could make an offer to buy it, and Viacom could sell it to the UFC, theoretically, okay? But, theoretically, the biggest thing that happened in MMA was Bellator, because the UFC's money is not as long as Viacom, so therefore it unmonopolized a lot of things, and it also gave a lot of opportunity for guys to make more money, because there's only so many people that can fit in the UFC, okay? But you have, it's like these idiots from HBO that they have, Max Kellerman and Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley. They never put a fucking jockstrap on to come into the gym, but yet they're experts in what they're talking about, and alphabet soup and this and that. And that's what really went wrong with boxing, the sanctioning organizations, okay? The sanctioning organizations were actually giving fighters more opportunity, okay? Because if there's only one champion, like the public talks about, there should only be one champion, there should only... That's how dumb people are. It's not even dumbness, it's just ignorance. They don't know, okay? If there's 3 world champions, that's 3 different guys that HBO or Showtime or ESPN is going to pay a certain amount of money for a fight, okay? And that means more opportunity, okay? So, but you have these guys talking about it like they know what they're saying, and just one champion. How many times can a champion fight one guy? And if he's that tough, and if he's that much of a badass, look at Mike Tyson. What was he known as? The undisputed heavyweight champ of the world. He held every single belt, okay? There's guys that do it. There's guys like, you know, there's a million guys I could name that were undisputed champions, and they won every single belt. And that was Floyd. Floyd's pound for pound the best. You know what I mean? Floyd's a monster. Until someone beats him, people can say whatever they want about him. He is an absolute monster. You know what I mean?
Some of the things about boxing that kind of turned me off and put me onto MMA. Larry Merchant. Is he tight with you guys?
I mean, it's just you know, it's whatever. It's. I mean, it's love. It's like whatever. But you know, they make ignorant comments.
Yeah, I don't want to offend you, but I count the days to that old fuck does. Yeah. You could tell, like, just like clockwork. Every time a big fight would start, you would wait for his fucking moon and stars astrological comment. Every time the bell would ring in a big championship fight, he would go on some 2-minute charade. We're about to watch what happens when the unmovable object meets the irresistible force. Just always something stupid and cryptical. After the fights, he would annoy the shit out of the fighters with his questions. And I like when people ask the questions that the public wants to hear, but you could just tell he gets under people's skin. And then Lampley would come on with his fucking goofy hair, and you know, he would go on some type of rant. There was never I think Max Kellerman was probably my favorite boxing commentator. He didn't seem to annoy anybody. But and then boxing started getting more irritating when you'd have the guys, what's his name, the big Spanish dude, Roy Jones beat him up, the quiet man.
John Ruiz.
Ruiz would throw 3 punches and then hug, and then 3 punches and hug. And you get yourself psyched all day to watch a fight, and then you're watching these 3-punch hug combinations, and it sets boxing back like 100 years. It's so fucking boring to watch John Ruiz fight. I know every boxing match isn't going to be Mike Tyson and, you know, smash him and first round knockouts, but MMA, I think that's a big reason MMA is growing so fast. It hasn't overcome boxing in terms of salaries or money to be made. A couple pay-per-views, UFC pay-per-views have overshadowed some of the boxing pay-per-views, but it hasn't officially taken first place yet.
No.
So I think some of the things, if boxing continues on this path, like I watched something on ESPN like a week ago. There was this big dude, he must have been like 6'9", and he had this ridiculous reach advantage, and he was just keeping this other guy at bay. And
it was terrible. I think you're talking about the guy before Steve Cunningham.
Yeah, real big British dude.
Tyson Fury,
yeah.
Yeah, and there was just, it's, you know what? It's like, my thing is MMA, well, my thing is, like, with boxing, it was always, the heavyweight champ was always the baddest man on the planet.
Right.
And, you know,
Not
as
Brock
you know in MMA, yeah, as you know in MMA, it's you know, anything could happen, and a boxer could never step into the MMA cage. I mean, especially ever since I started doing jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's just a different ballgame.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk with Jimmy Bins about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's learning under the best that you can learn from in our area, the Migler Brothers, Balance Studios. We'll be right back after this break. Fuck you, I messed it up. We'll be right back after this break. The beauty of having your own show.
That's so awesome.
Live, June 22nd, 2013. Rocco's Pizzeria presents World Cage Fighting Championship 6. Experience mixed martial arts live at the Kirk S. Nevin Arena in Greensburg, PA, as Caleb Ball meets UFC veteran Corey Hill in a showdown for the WCC title. This card is stacked and tickets start at just $35. Log on to www.wccmma.com to buy your seats and be there live. For more information, call 570-778-6215. Rocco's Pizzeria, the pound for pound Kings of Pizza presents World Cage Fighting Championship 6, live June 22nd.
All right, we're back with Jimmy Binns. One last question about Bellator. Ben Askren, is he the best wrestler in MMA in your opinion?
Absolutely. I think the guy is a complete machine, and I think that I would love to see him fight the best. You know, I would love to see him fight guys in the UFC, guys.
GSP.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. You know, I think everybody wants to see it, but we'll see what happens.
He's Mr. Fitness. You know, he comes in ripped with a six-pack. I'd love to see a guy with curly hair and a little bit of a belly just whoop his ass.
Yeah, I think Ben Askren has a good chance of doing that. That's for sure.
So a lot of people don't know this about you, but you're a BJJ blue belt under the Miglerese brothers.
Yes, I am.
So you're always smiling and friendly, but you'll hook the fuck out of someone under the right conditions, right?
I like guillotines better, but
Guillotine.
yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to get around these guys, and Phil, you know, like I told you before, he was playing mind games with me. So when I first started, like I said, I was 320 pounds. I was a 56 waist and smoking 2 packs of cigarettes, blase blah.
You slimmed down, dude. You went from 2 packs to a 6-pack.
No 6-pack. I still got a keg. You know what I mean? Some guys just have to keep it the way it is. But I'm down to a 38 waist. I'm a blue belt. I train probably four days a week at least, and then maybe do like 2 lifting, 200 rep workouts with Ricky usually. It's jiu-jitsu's helped me in a lot of different ways, from life to business. And you know, Phil told me a long time ago, jiu-jitsu is being in an uncomfortable position and breathing through it. And not to get too corny, but you know, it's just that's what jiu-jitsu promotes. You know, it promotes being positive. It promotes being in the present moment. And you know, at Balance Studios, you could be on the mat with anyone from a doctor to a lawyer to a fighter to any walk of life is welcome there. And I think that's really the real jiu-jitsu philosophy. You have a lot of these schools out there. You have a lot of these people that act like they really live the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. And Rick and Phil are by far the best examples of what jiu-jitsu is about. And I've been lucky enough to, you know, get on that path. And, you know, I'm trying to get that purple belt, but I know it's not going to come easy. But, you know, I'm just going to keep putting my time in, learning more. And it was really important for me from a business standpoint to get into the discipline of jiu-jitsu, living that type of lifestyle, because I didn't want to be the kid coming from boxing, like, I'm going to throw a name out there, sorry to do this to you, but like a Jared Shaw. He played himself, you know, and I know that kid from when his dad was involved in boxing. His dad was a guy named Gary Shaw, and he had a pretty decent box promotion called Gary Shaw Promotions. I think they're still in business. I'm not really sure, and that's not taking a shot. I just haven't been active in boxing like that. But it is, you know, that kid came out and started talking shit to Dana White and talking shit to this person and that person. That's just ignorance, you know. You can't just come out of the box and being like, you know, fuck this person, we're gonna do this and do that, and make it your actions. Let your actions speak louder than your words, you know. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, and that's what I've done with jiu-jitsu. I let my actions, I let my training, I let my, you know, you come in, and I'm not saying I'm gonna tap everybody, but I'll fight anybody. It's no big deal. So for anybody that's got an issue with me, you know where to find me.
So when was the last time you were actually in a fight? Did you get to use these skills on anybody in traffic or in a mall or something?
You believe? I think there was a couple close calls, couple, but I have not. Thank God I haven't had to use anything that I've learned.
So are you shooting right away if someone bumps you in a nightclub or something like that?
Nah, no, not right away. You know, I'm definitely gonna go for the rear naked. You know.
All right, so you train with some monsters at Balance Studio. Everyone at Balance seems to be like a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner. The janitor down there mops the floors with a black belt on. Who were some of your favorite people down there that impressed you? I know you got to meet Helson Gracie. Was that last week you got to meet him?
I wasn't here. I was actually out of the country. I hung out with him. Actually, the time before he was there, he was staying in my condo with me. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a super awesome guy, you know.
Guy's a legend. Like, can you say anything to him if he leaves a light on all night or he pisses on the toilet?
Nah, he's
You gotta chalk that up.
Yeah, you gotta chalk. You know, certain things you gotta pick and choose your battles. You know, but you know, like I said, man, there's so many people down in Balance that create the atmosphere that's there. That I mean, I could seriously go on for hours and talk to you about different people and why they're some of the people that I like to work with. But I mean, you got guys like Josh Vogel, Drew Vogel. They're the program directors. I mean, obviously Rick and Phil, without question, you know, set the whole precedent in there. But I mean, you have such like genuine, real people in there that every single time I've ever went there, I've never left there with a chip on my shoulder. And I think pretty much everyone who goes in there is always welcome. There's no tough guys. And you know, that's what they want. That's what they want everybody to feel. They want everybody to feel the comfort, and they want to teach jiu-jitsu. They want to teach the Gracie jiu-jitsu, and they're the best people. Forget about it in the city. I think in the world, right. You know, and the Gracies say that about them. So I mean, when you got the people who created it saying that about you, and if you guys know Rick and Phil, they're as real as it gets. So.
All right, so let's get into Ben's management. You represent a lot of elite guys. If you'd like to drop some names, who are some of the guys that you have under your banner?
I have Will Martinez. I have Samuel Orpeza. I have Timmy Carpenter. I have Mike Musatelli, who's going to have some big things coming up. My guy from New York. Ed Brashley. Dan Covell. Joey Del Vecchio, Jesus Martinez.
Your ultimate goal, is it the UFC now, or is it just to get these guys making some money?
You know what? My goal is to give these guys the best possible chance to make more money and give them the best advice that I can offer to these guys. And you know, to give them a real outlet, a real representation, not fake, not. Sometimes managers get into their own self-esteem issues and put their fighters in fights because they have beef with somebody, or they, you know, that's not business. That's like high school bullshit. And you know, there's plenty of these guys out there who. You know, who are, you know, it's them against the world. You know what I mean? And, you know, initially it might be cool to some of the fighters to be like around the guy who's like the bad seed out of the whole crowd. But then that really will end up hurting them because of their ignorance, you know?
You have any beef with Jason Sargis?
Who?
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Tell us about some of your charity work. Please explain the Hero Plaque program for policemen and firefighters.
Yeah, that was something that we started when we had a restaurant that was on 13th and Locust, and a guy by the name of Danny Faulkner was murdered there by a guy named Mumia Abdul-Jamal.
Who's still on death row? Kill that fucker. Man.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. He deserves.
Did he get converted to life now?
I'm not sure. He got a bunch of faggots like that endorse him, like Snapple and all these people, and you know. The sad part is that Maureen Faulkner hasn't had closure, you know, which she deserves. And
sure,
you know, from that we created a plaque program for every Philadelphia policeman and every firefighter that ever died in the history of Philadelphia. We've replaced different, including Philadelphia, different municipalities with motorcycles, with brand new Harley Davidsons, which we raise money from citizen sponsors. It doesn't cost the city $1, it doesn't cost the state $1, or any county that we donate in. I think we're at like 163 bikes. I think we've given out so far. We raise money for shotguns. We've gotten involved with getting the mounted unit back in business with some donations of horses and stuff like that. And then the biggest thing my dad has gotten back into, and I'm lucky to be a part of, is called the Hero Thrill Show.
Thrill Show is awesome.
Yeah, and if you remember, it's been going on for so many generations, and there were a group of people that were running it before that said that they were not able to do the performance anymore because due to lack of attendance and everything. So what my dad did was start his own corporation and started doing the shows down at the Wells Fargo. So I think when they did it, they had like 500 people show up. And last year we did, if I'm correct, I think it was over 50,000 people in one day.
Wow.
I think we're schooling like 17 kids in college right now, fallen officers. And it's something that people really need to pay attention to because they're really the heroes. They're people that, they're really no different than a carpenter, an electrician. They're blue-collar people that have more balls to go out there and protect people that they don't even know. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's perfect. Everyone has problems in their department. But, all in all, these guys go out there and bust their ass and put themselves in the line of fire to keep us safe. So the littlest thing that I could do is to show that their families that we care, from the people that have lost and lost loved ones, and I've become very close with a lot of family members. And I mean, you have guys like Rob Skursky, who, I mean, I watched him from being a teenager. Last time I saw him, he's a man now. You know what I mean? And it's tough, for him, because he was close with his dad, and his dad would be so proud if he saw him. You know what I mean? And I tell him that all the time. So it's, they have to deal with a heartache for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? So the little things that we could do for them makes sense to me.
What's your stance on the death penalty?
I think if someone deserves it, they should fucking fry him.
They don't fry no more, except for fucking Arkansas, and I think what's the other place? I don't know. But they give you the lethal injection or whatever. But you appeal your appeals, and then your appeals get appealed, and it goes on and on. We got Mumia sitting on death row, just chilling up on death row. He should have been killed years ago.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. I mean, sometimes the legal system is the best thing ever, and then sometimes it's something that people finagle and, cut corners, and so.
Cool C killed a cop.
Yeah.
Mr. Glamorous Life killed a cop. He's still breathing.
It's amazing.
It's fucking ridiculous, man.
It is.
All right. So you're involved in the Hero Thrill Show. The Hero Plaque Program also places plaques at the scene of these murders where police officers were murdered. Is that right?
Yes, wherever they were murdered.
Okay. So can a regular MMA fighter simply reach out to you now if they want to be a part of Ben's management, or do you not accept solicitations? How does someone get affiliated with Jimmy Benz?
Anyone can give me a call. Anyone, any MMA fighter, any camp, anything. I'm open to talk to anyone. I just like to explain to them what exactly I do. I don't lie to people. I don't try to sound better than what I am. I just tell them that what my connections are, who I have relationships with, and how I go about things. And it's really up to the feeling that you get with the person to see if it's going to work or not. You know what I mean? It's not like you have a lot of guys that are out there going to promise them the world and they don't come through with anything. So they're always able to get in touch with me.
And when you have relationships or have had relationships with Don King, Lou DiBella, Emmanuel Stewart, Gilberto Mendoza, Jose Sullivan, Bjorn Rebney, I'm sure you got to pick his brain.
Yeah.
Is Ben's management the future of the fight game?
In my eyes, of course. I mean, I think, like I said, this is just the beginning of my life. You know what I mean? Like I think you know, starting matrix fights and starting doing jiu-jitsu. I met the girl of my dreams, my wife. I married her. I started a family. My life's just beginning, man. You know what I mean? And I think that I'm gonna do everything that I want to do. You know what I mean? Because there's no one that's gonna stop me. And I think that my ideas are truthful. My ideas are what I've been doing with the fight management is creating relationships that will pay off in years to come, not initially right away. And I think when you take your time building relationships, building partnerships with different people, different organizations, the right way, and letting them develop the right way, it'll last a lot longer. And that's where I'm looking to go with Ben's management.
All right, we're here talking with Jimmy Benz, super promoter, super manager. He does everything. We're going to take our last break. We'll be back with more Jimmy Benz. Fuck Mumia and fuck Cool C. How glamorous is life on death row, you cock?
What a scum, right?
All right, we're back with Jimmy Benz, super manager, super promoter, super everything. So are you able to juggle everything that's going on in your life with your new wife and your children and everything going on?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, God blessed me with an angel, you know, and my wife, and I have two beautiful boys, and you know, they make me stronger, man. They make me more. They make me want to work harder, go after my goals even more, to see the results of it, you know, benefit them, and you know, it's a dream come true with the girl that I've met.
All right, time to start the call out clock. 30 seconds with Jimmy Benz. You can call out anybody you want.
Get into the call out clock. This is the time where a lot of people get shine that they really don't deserve. Because there's really no one that really makes me that angry to have to call them out. Because a lot of it's just based on, a lot of people just have a lot of ignorance, that they just don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand the sport. And they just get so frustrated, instead of being humble and actually taking the correct steps, they want to talk about everybody else, saying this one does that and this one does this. And well, guess what? Have a happy day, everyone. Keep smiling. And look for my stuff coming up.
Jimmy Benz killing them with kindness.
And now it's time for Chillax, Tap, or Pimp Slap. Chillax, meaning you can hang out with anybody in history. Tap, meaning you apply an incredibly painful submission until you feel like letting go. And Pimp Slap, meaning, well, a good old 70s fly guy Dolomite pimp slap square in their fucking face.
Okay, chillax, tap, or pimp slap. Who would you like to hang out with? Who would you like to tap? And who would you like to pimp slap?
I would have liked to hang out with Biggie Smalls. I thought he was a cool cat. I just liked his whole vibe.
How about tap?
Whoever wants to come to Balance and come get it.
And a pimp slap.
Pimp slap.
That could be anybody now. You can go back in history and slap Hitler.
Man.
Napoleon.
Pimp slap. Narrow-minded people.
Nice. All right, I'm here with Jimmy Benz and now his son, because his son missed him incredibly. Want to say hi, buddy?
Say hi. Ah.
He's got fresh Jordans. Jimmy Benz would never put his son in Shaqs from Walmart.
Never.
Always fresh.
Always.
All right, so the MMA game has a lot of snakes in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. What we're gonna do here is see how good you can guess a snake, since you gotta weed them out. Here's 3 snakes, 3 of the deadliest snakes in the world. The eastern brown snake, the fierce snake, or the inland taipan, which you already know, of course, and the blue crate. Put them in the order of the deadliest snakes.
I would go blue crate, eastern, fierce snake.
Correct order is fierce eastern blue crate. You had it backwards.
Yeah, same thing. It just depends how you look at it.
All right, thanks for playing that completely ridiculous game.
Absolutely.
So we want to thank Jimmy Benz for coming on the show today. Be sure to check out jimmybenzjr.com for fighter representation. If your manager is dicking you over and he's giving you some bad matchups and you're not making any money, you got to call this guy before you get another couple losses on your record and, you know, get up with Jimmy Benz Jr. Also check out Matrix Fights. They have something coming up in September.
September 20th.
September 20th. Check out matrixfights.com. Jimmy's also at Balance Studios during the week if you want to train with Jimmy. Anything else you'd like to add, Jim?
Nah, thank you so much for having me, Mike. It's refreshing to have a guy that wants to get people's voices and questions answered. And, you know, let's just keep moving forward with this game. We're very lucky with the guys who are involved with it. We're at the beginning of the sport. So let's stay in each other's lanes, not cross over, and just keep moving forward with the sport.
Well said, Jimmy Benz. This has been Sit Down Radio. Die Mumia.
Yeah.